everybody, and today we're learning about drawing squares and rectangles. And you will see here we're on lesson 4.16, 3 out of 3. And the first, this is an independent practice, but I'm just going to go over a couple of these examples with you. Drawing a square PQRS, they first just give you this line here, PQ, and you're going to make sure that all the lines are equal because it is a square and all the lines are equal on the square, same value. So you're just going to you're going to label PQRS. You're going to label your square just like in lesson part B. And then we have here, same thing, square. Draw a square EFGH. You're going to draw it in here, and this square MNOP. And then here it says draw 4 squares of different sizes and orientations on the square below. So you can just draw them any shape and size you want, and you can label the angles if you want as well. Just anything to get you kind of in the habit of using these squares and angles and labeling. Again, this is with the 4 rectangles. They can be all different sizes and orientations. They can be sideways as well as just straightforward. So on page 5, it talks about complete the squares and rectangles using the lines provided. So again, we talked about the basic rules of a rectangle where these sides are equal and these sides are equal, right? So they're just asking to make sure that you're aware that you know the rules of a rectangle and a square, which we discussed in our last lesson. And then we have here, we're going to make a square out of just being given this information, and a rectangle here just being given this information as well. We all know that I'd like you to also actually include the angles, the right angles, in each one of these squares and rectangles, just to get yourself into the habit of knowing that those angles are right angles. So, to determine whether the following statements are true or false, explain why. All figures with 4 equal sides are squares. And you can explain why. One of the examples you might want to, if it is false, you might want to explain why using another example, like maybe a diamond or something, if this is a false statement. The other question is all rectangles are square. And we know here there's a difference between the lengths and the breadths of a rectangle. So that's a little bit of a hint there as well. I really want you to get the concept. As much as I want you to get the right answer, I really want you to have the concepts embedded in and understood. And that's the most important part. All squares are rectangles. That's the other question. So you can look at a square and you can think about all the qualities of a square, the angles in the right angles, and the lengths of all the sides of a square as well. And then D, it says here, the sum of the angles in a square or rectangle is 360 degrees, and I'm going to venture to draw, ooh, not with a Sharpie, a square. Bear with me, because all the sides are supposed to be this equal, right? But we're just going to just pretend a little bit here. So it's asking you the sum of the angles. If this is 90 degrees here, you know, sometimes I make this little degree sign too big, but if there's 4 of them, we are going to say what, let me see here. I'll go back a little bit. If there's 4 of them, we can say 90 degrees times 4 equals 360 degrees. And if you could write out a sentence demonstrating why a square and a rectangle is equal to 360 degrees, because it has, and the sum of them and if you could put that into your own wording, I'd like that written in a nice sentence or two here. Okay, so moving on to page 9, and it says here, oh, look, we got Ella. Rainey and Ella were asked to draw a rectangle. Who is correct in drawing their rectangle? If we look at the rules of a rectangle, the rule is that a rectangle needs to have the right angles, 4 right angles. This square has 4 right angles, and the opposite sides are equal in length. So just take a look at that and you'll know that these opposite sides are equal in length, and so are these. So you can decide and think about that. If Rainey or Ella's rectangle is correct, or they both could be. And if they both are, using the information we already know, you would answer your question using that information. So on page 10 here, complete the pattern below. So you're just going to take a look through here, 2, 3, and then you're going to figure out what would go here. Same as with this one. And I know that these are a lot of fun. Patterns are one of my favorite things to do as well. So, and then here, you're going to fit in which piece are we missing in this wrapping paper. Okay, and then we're going to do a couple more of these. Wendy used craft sticks to form the figure below. There are 5 squares in the figure. Then it's going to ask you to move 3 craft sticks to make 4 squares. Okay, so you might have to, in this case, maybe move a couple here over to here, or here over to here. So you might have to move a whole set of them over, but you can definitely work that out. And then number 12, page 12. Page 12. It's asking us here, Bernard used craft sticks to make the figure below. There are 2 squares in the figure. Move 3 craft sticks to make 3 squares. So they're asking you to try that. You're going to have to really think about it and look at it. And then I'm just trying to see if I could make this here for you. If we did the same thing here with the craft sticks. And we have 1. There's going to be enough room here. 1, 2, 3. And you don't need to use craft sticks like this. For this purpose, I thought it might be nice to be able to get a look at this here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move these little guys over. They're in my videos a lot. Okay, and then we'll put the blue. And then we have at the top of the, make them pink. But if we did move these around, and we have in the center, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the question is, we are trying to use these sticks below to make, there are 2 squares in the figure. Move the craft sticks to make 3 squares. So there's several ways you can do this. And I know I've given you plenty of time to think and look at the example. But one way you can do it is here. Move this one here. See? Okay. And move this one here. And move this one here. Okay? But you'll see other ways as well. If you just think about it, it takes a little bit of time just looking at it and thinking about it. Of course, you can use your own sticks at home and put it together if that makes it easier for you to actually see it. And then you'll just complete the remaining booklet. If you have any difficulty, just write down the question, and I'll be happy to go over it with you in an email or something. And then this one here says, the last page 16, use squares and rectangles of different sizes and orientations to create a picture on the square grid below. Use one color for the rectangles and another color for the squares.